OnePlus 5 1 week later experience. That video is coming up right now. Let's go. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and I've had the OnePlus 5 for about 1 week now, and I want to talk about my experience with this phone and what exactly it's been like using the OnePlus 5. Now, I've heard, such great things about OnePlus 5, and most of the things that I've heard are true about this phone, but I want to begin with the certain section of the build and the body. So I'm not going to go over too much about specs. We'll talk about that in the full review. But in terms of the build and the body, you do have yourself an aluminum body here with Gorilla Glass on the front. Now, when I first got the OnePlus 5, it had a screen protector on the front of the device, and that was a pretty flimsy screen protector that scratched immediately, so I took that thing off here. But one thing I want to mention is that this phone feels just as premium as, the top-end flagships in terms of the body and the build. So this is basically in the body of a flagship right here in the OnePlus 5. But I do want to note, because OnePlus decided to go ahead and curve the OnePlus 5, which some people might enjoy because it's a little bit more comfortable in the hand than, say, its predecessor, the 3T. But at the same time, it's a little bit more slippery. So over the week, I've actually dropped this phone twice, and I actually already nicked this phone up here. I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but up here in this corner, I did nick it up. Yeah, my camera's not picking it up right now, but there is a nick right there. There it goes. There is a nick right there on the camera, or on the side by the silent switch. So I did drop this once. It fell out of my pocket. Super slippery phone here in the OnePlus 5. So keep that in mind. Now, the Gorilla Glass is great. It doesn't scratch that easily, but overall, the build quality of this phone has been phenomenal. Really smart to get a case, though, if you do pick this guy up. Now, in terms of this silent switch, this also feels very tactile. It's got these ridges on the button itself, so very tactile here on that. It's easy to find the power button here on OnePlus 5 as well. And the fingerprint scanner is not very scratch prone, so that's a good thing. And also, this guy is pretty scratch protected too in terms of the lens. So, you could place it on the table like this. It's going to be fine. You're not going to get a bunch of scratches, but I still recommend getting a case. But overall, the build quality has been exceptional here for the OnePlus 5. It's just not the most sexy design I've ever seen on a phone. I mean, I feel like they could have did a little bit more when it comes to making the screen bezels, taller screen, maybe an 18:9 screen. Maybe OnePlus will go with that on their next phone. So in terms of the display quality here for the OnePlus 5, you are looking at an optic AMOLED display, 1080p across a 5.5-inch panel here. So over the week, my experience with this display has been, quite good. I really enjoy the deep blacks, the punchy colors of AMOLED displays. The wallpapers look extremely vibrant, as well as pretty much anything else on this panel. Now, one thing I don't like is that OnePlus, decided to stick with 1080p. So if you did have a OnePlus 3T and you're looking for an upgrade here in the OnePlus 5, the screen's about the same. So I don't like that they did that. It's kind of like, being lazy, I feel like, with your next product. I feel like you should try to improve your display, especially when they are available. We know it because the LG G6 has it, a 2K. Even the S7s had it, as well as, some older smartphones, like I believe the G5 had a 2K display as well. The Galaxy S8 has a 2K display, so there's no excuse for putting 1080p. Some people will say, well, it doesn't really matter. You get better battery life on a 1080p display. I don't find that to be true because the Galaxy S8 gets better battery life than this phone in my experience. So yeah, keep that in mind. But anyway, I'm not going to sit over here and rag the display because overall it does have pretty great colors and it's clear enough for most people. And they do have an included reader mode here, which I did love here for the OnePlus 5. It really just turns your, smartphone into a little Kindle. So if you do like reading on ebooks and e-paper and stuff like that, you're going to love this feature. For those of you who do like to read on your phone all the time, it can be appreciated here to use that. In terms of brightness levels too, this thing is extremely bright, so no issues when it comes to its brightness levels. But anyway, display viewing angles are also solid here on the OnePlus 5. Gets plenty bright outdoors as well. Not the easiest I've ever seen outdoors in the OnePlus 5, but it's surely good enough. So this display, I'm going to say it's not an amazing display, like, oh my God, it's the best display I've ever seen, but it's way above, average. So pretty good display here overall here on OnePlus 5. You're going to be fine. Now, in terms of software, we are rocking out with Android 7.1.1 in Nougat. So if I go into, down here, you'll see 7.1.1 Nougat. This is not the latest version. I believe it's 7.1.3 or 2. Android O should be released next week. So this thing is not the, it's on its way out, but it's still super good software here in the OnePlus 5. Now, Oxygen OS 4.5.8, and I really think software here on the OnePlus 5 is one of the best in the business. It's so smooth, so clean, and it adds a few things that are actually useful to the phone. Like you can change the buttons. You can put the buttons right here. You do have double tap actions. You just have so many little things here, like on-screen navigation. We could swap the buttons and not use that if we want. So if we go back, I also really enjoyed the display modes where you can go in and go to display mode and you could put on, not that right there. Let's go into themes. You can go to light theme, dark theme, and default theme. Also, you could change the accent colors, which reminds me a little bit of Windows Phone. So definitely little tweaks and customizations. It does have LED notifications as well. Just little tweaks and customizations like this make this software very enjoyable to use. This is a great software. Oxygen OS is great. The only thing with it is that, OnePlus has not been updating their phones as frequently as I would like. I mean, they're already going to be banning the OnePlus 3T and 3 from future updates past Android O. I mean, that's ridiculous when you think about it. Those phones just came out 1 year ago and you're already going to stop updates. To me, that don't make sense. And that could be a deal breaker for a lot of people on the OnePlus 5, to be totally honest with you guys. Now, talking about storage here, this doesn't have expandable memory. I did get a 64 gig, not an issue too much. I mean, storage is always going to be personal, perspective, bias. If you're somebody who, takes a lot of pictures, videos all the time, that's not going to be enough, 64 gigs, but they do give you 52.67 out of the box. So they take 12, just on the system itself. So just keep that in mind. You are going to have, about 52 gigs available in storage. I think it's enough for me, but, for you, it might not be enough depending on how heavy you're going to be loading this up with apps and games. I would splurge for the 128 gig if you're a heavy user of other areas. So the storage itself, it's UFS storage. I believe it's 2.1, super quick transfer speed. You got the USB-C down here. So in terms of putting the photos onto a computer, it's very fast. So no issues there. And in terms of downloading files and things like that, super quick here for the OnePlus 5. So that's a good thing. At least it's really fast storage here that you're getting in the OnePlus 5. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the performance of this guy. And, there's been a lot of controversy so far on the channel. Some iPhone people don't want to admit that the OnePlus 5 is quicker than some of the iPhones, which it is. I've proven this like 3 times already. It beat the SE in basic task. It didn't beat it in gaming, but it did beat the 7 Plus in basic tasking as well. The animations are just so fast here on the OnePlus 5. Now, it's not the fastest gaming phone in the world. It was beat by, iPhone in gaming. It probably can be beat by the Galaxy S8 Plus in gaming. We're going to go ahead and do the test on that as well. But this is the fastest phone I've ever used when it comes to just opening applications and scrolling through the software. It's just the fastest phone I've ever used. That's just how I'm going to place this performance here. Now, that's mostly due to the Snapdragon 835 chip in here, 6 gigs of RAM, as well as super quick, kind of stock Android here. This Oxygen OS is just blazing quick. You can just see it. It's a monster here in the OnePlus 5, even on third-party apps. And Android is known to not have the most optimized third-party apps, but the OnePlus 5 handles them like they're nothing. So, this is a good sign for future performance of phones. I think it's just going to get better and better and better. And OnePlus has really stepped up to the plate when it comes to their performance on their phones. They're really, really solid. And this is a one reason alone to buy the OnePlus 5. If you're like, you know what, I don't care about all those extra things. I just really want that slick, smooth performance that I get with the OnePlus 5. You're going to love this. So another thing I want to talk about is gaming before I wrap up this experience review later. And this has been a great area for the OnePlus 5. It's been fun. Gaming on this phone with them AMOLED colors, flat display, very wide screen. It's been an enjoyable experience here. And this phone loads games super quick. So, it's not the fastest, like I said earlier, in the world in terms of gaming, but it definitely loads them quick enough. And if you're not holding this side by side, you're not going to notice too much of a difference. Graphics look phenomenal on here, and this is akin to having like a little, portable console in your hand here with the OnePlus 5. It's a really great experience. So another thing I need to talk about before we wrap this up is camera. So camera on this device has been hit or miss. So what I mean by that is that, you would think immediately, well, I love that camera. It looks cool. It's just like the dual lens on some other smartphones out there. And it has portrait mode here on the OnePlus 5. And this portrait mode is actually a little bit overhyped. It does work. Don't get me wrong. It does work, the depth effect. It's just not that great. It doesn't work most of the time. So it's going to be a struggle to get perfect shots with the portrait mode. You're going to be taking like 3 or 4 shots before you actually get it to work the way you were expecting it to work. But, auto mode, the photos are pretty great here on the OnePlus 5. The way I could sum up the camera here so far in my experience is, it's good. It's just not, fantastic. So meaning that it's not blowing me away, but it's really enjoyable. So on a scale of 1 to 10, that would be an 8 in my book. So that's how I'm rating the camera so far. I did a full camera review on this phone. You could check that out. Links are down below in the description for the OnePlus 5, where I took pictures, like mad samples around the city. I shot them in 16:9, so not the full 4:3, but still, that's how I did it for the video. So those are pretty much what I did. And I also did some front-facing video as well. The front-facing camera, however, I've really enjoyed. So hello, how you doing? This camera here on the OnePlus 5 on the front is just fantastic, guys. 16 megapixels, best front-facing camera, I think, on any phone. So this is the phone I'm going with when I'm doing a front-facing camera video or something like that. It just makes your face look super clear, and you just don't get that too much on a front-facing camera on most phones. Now let's go ahead and talk about the battery life here on the OnePlus 5, and it's been great, actually. The first day it was going down a little quick, but once I charged it up, it's been doing solid here for the OnePlus 5. Now, one issue I've been having is with dash charging. So dash charging, you stick it in here with the red cord, and it's supposed to charge your phone super quick, which it does. It flies through the charge. It gets to 80% and it slows down like you wouldn't believe. So if you're a OnePlus 5 user or a OnePlus 3T user having this issue, let me know down below in the comments. Once you get up to 80%, I mean, I swear I had that thing on charge for about 2 hours and it was only at 83. So I don't know if dash charging is like cutting off the electrical charge after 80, but I haven't never got this phone up to 100. I don't know if I have a defective unit or something like that, but I've had issues getting this phone to charge to 100%. It just seems to not want to do it. So keep that in mind. Dash charging is super quick, but it gets really slow after 80%. So, you're going to be rocking around 80 most of the time. So that's if you get in the same scenario I'm in. I don't know if all OnePlus 5s are doing this, but maybe I have a defective unit. I don't know. Keep that in mind as well, though. So let's talk a little bit more now about the call quality. So I'm not going to open the phone because I don't want you to see my numbers, but phone call quality on here has been great. The earpiece, it sounds good. The speaker quality is loud. So I'm going to go into YouTube and go ahead and play a video here on my channel so you can kind of hear the speakerphone quality. So let me go into a video here. Let's check this OnePlus 5 camera review I did just yesterday. So you can see, let this ad go by first. Okay, so double click the power button to go ahead and get in as well, and you can just obviously go to your camera icon. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those examples. So you can see it's loud. It's pretty loud. That speaker on the bottom is good. So it's good to go when it comes to speakerphone calls and stuff like that. Signal held on pretty strong for me, and caller sounded great. So I have nothing to say, negative about, the call quality. It's been pretty phenomenal. Now, case selection is one area I want to talk about as well. It's been kind of hit or miss. OnePlus does sell cases on their websites, but I like when I could just walk into a store and buy a case. Can't do that here on a OnePlus 5. Almost no one is selling cases out and about. So you basically got to go online to get your accessories for the OnePlus 5. That's one, caveat of buying a phone that's not mainstream or everyone knows about the phone. That's one thing about the OnePlus 5, so keep that in mind. But overall, I'm going to wrap this up here. My 1 week later experience, I talked about pretty much every area that I experienced. I do want to mention that I've enjoyed this fingerprint scanner. It's blazing quick, one of the fastest I've ever used. I want you to keep that in mind. If you love a fast phone, you got to get this phone. If you want just blazing quick speeds and that's all you care about, performance, this is your phone right here. Overall though, OnePlus 5, it's been fantastic. I've loved the phone in the past week. I don't see myself, not wanting to use it no more. Definitely going to be using this as one of my main Android drivers. I don't think it's quite as good as the LG G6 or the Galaxy S8, but man, for the money, this is the best phone money can buy, I think, for $500. There's pretty much no other phone out there, I think, in this price category that gives you this much. This feels like a proper flagship, sans the camera. I think the camera doesn't quite feel flagship level, even though it looks like it is. So that's the only thing I'm going to say there. Other than that, overall, fantastic phone here in the OnePlus 5. You can't go wrong for this price point, but I can say one thing. The OnePlus 5, even though it's a great phone at this price point, you can get prior flagships for around this price point, like iPhone 6s Plus, like Galaxy S7 Edge, like those phones now, and those might be better than the OnePlus 5. So keep that in mind. You do have used options out there as well for slightly older flagship smartphones. So keep that in mind as well. Anyway, Nick here helping you to master your technology. If you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful, fun to watch, entertainable, go ahead and hit the thumbs up for me down below. Any questions, comments, concerns, I'm here for you. Drop them in the comments. I will catch you all in the next one. Be sure to be well and peace.